Welcome to Pivot Talks with PC. My name is Pauline Caballero, and we're talking change. It isn't coming, it's here. Hey everyone, welcome. I'm so happy to be here with one of my favorite people, Bethany Lyons of Lyons Den Digital, Lyons Den Yoga Studio in New York City, is here. She is not only a dear friend, but someone I follow and look to for inspiration in who I want to be in the world of entrepreneurship and who I want to be in the world of leader. And I am so thankful and so grateful to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining, Bethany.
Thank you so much for having me, Pauline.
You know, it's funny, I was thinking, you and I have done so many fun things together, and you've really been around my boys as they've been growing up. And I was thinking, I was like, where do I even start with Bethany? But I was hoping maybe one thing that I find out about you every time we get together is something new that you've done in the world and that you've created. So I was hoping you could start off just by giving us a little background, a little bio about who the heck is this girl?
All right. Well, I am Bethany Lyons, and I am an entrepreneur in NYC. I had two studios actually, but now one studio, Lyons Den Power Yoga. One studio that was in Tribeca that we doubled the size in, and then a studio in Chelsea. And we have, as of March 16th, we have been closed for 1 year due to the pandemic. And so the Tribeca studio is now closed. The Chelsea studio is still very much open, and we would love to reopen as soon as our great leaders get their act together. I am a former dancer, professional ballerina. I am a original SoulCycle master senior instructor. I was the first person hired at the company and worked there for 11 years, saw it from the ground up. I was the regional manager for Crunch in the city and ran a bunch of clubs here, so have a whole sort of background in that. I also have a degree from Newhouse in creative advertising. So I have this whole sort of background in marketing and advertising and PR as well. And I have melded all of those things to most recently create Lyons Den Digital, which is a global digital platform that was officially launched in the beginning of October of 2020. And I'm very excited about where it is going.
It's amazing. I mean, so many different multiple hats. In fact, I just learned something else. I didn't know you had a marketing and, ad degree. That's amazing. Of course. Why am I surprised?
It's come in handy. I don't think my dad thought it was going to come in handy when I left and was like, and I'm dancing. But, it's helped shape, a lot of things that I've done, including our branding, our logo design, all of our, campaigns that we've done for anything like programs through retail, through also just choices I've made with other brands that I want to work with, other things I want to align with, and has also informed the way in which I've positioned us in the marketplace as well. I had, for many years, I worked with 5A Public Relations, which Kelsey Cairo is the brainchild of, another super female entrepreneur, and really put my backing behind that, because I was I feel like I'm on the pulse of what was happening and what I was doing here because of that too. It was nice to have that lens.
Right. Well, there's a couple of things here that I just want to unpack. The first one being the fact that you said that you've been closed now. It'll be a year in March. I sort of got goosebumps because I can imagine what that's like for, an entrepreneur and for someone whose livelihood really is dependent on that business. And I won't forget, Bethany, the way in which you pivoted that time and the way in which you went online in such a powerful way. And I'm just curious, what had you not skip a beat?
That's just how I roll. Like, we're closing. Okay, we go live tomorrow. we're staying here overnight and figuring it out. Who has lights?
Mm-hmm.
Who has audio? What do we need to get with the soundboard? Go to B&H before they shut down. It was just like, well, we have to be able to deliver yoga. That's what we do. So there's a solution to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all about solutions. I don't stay, I can stay in like, this sucks, or this is horrible, or poor me for like 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't like to dwell in this space. And it's not like, it's not a toxic positivity. Like I'm unaware of bad things that are happening. It's just like, okay, that's happening and I can feel things about it, but also what am I doing that's
Mm-hmm.
going to positively or just constructively move forward? And so I knew immediately, I'm like, okay, well, what are people going to need? Freaking yoga right now. This is not, it's not new that people have had their businesses shut down. There's been so many stories about this. I
Yeah.
will say, it was very jarring to go from where projections for 2020 was that my business was going to do $2 million in revenue. And to go from that to just like now, like literally hundreds of thousands of dollars really in debt from, taking out EIDL loan, when we were, because we've been sort of dragged along this process
Right.
versus, had I known, Monday morning quarterbacking, all that good stuff. But I knew we needed to get online right away. So we shut down Sunday night. I had a Zoom call with my entire staff Sunday afternoon, worst call I've ever had to make in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Said, we'll see you in 2 weeks, as we were told.
Right.
And then Monday night, 5 p.m., we made happy hour the thing. And then right away, pretty much after we went live, everything got really shut down. So I couldn't be there with anyone else. So then it became a one-woman show in the way that Josie and I, my dog and I, would walk to the studio, and we were the on camera. We set up the thing, we did the pre-show, we did the class, we did the after show, we undid. And then Zach and Mary Allison, who are my studio manager, assistant manager, they're basically just manager and assistant manager of life right now. We're working remotely. And I felt uniquely like perfectly placed for what was happening, because I had this in my back pocket and I needed like a swift kick in the ass, apparently, to bring it forth. I've been talking about doing stuff online forever. I can walk and talk and chew gum on camera for days. I did a ton of live camera. I've done a ton of live TV. I'm going to really date myself here, but like I have a ton of DVDs. I was like number one yoga DVD for a long time. I just, I did a lot of that stuff and I like it too. I love it. So I felt like, oh, well, I don't have any of that stress to do with. Like, I know I can deliver on camera. So let's go. I just need support in making that happen.
Right.
And so that's how it started. And we went to Zoom originally to figure out what, as everyone did, right? Like what,
yeah, of course.
What the heck are we even doing? And I wouldn't put music on until we could figure out how to really jerry-rig it and wire the sound in directly, because I'm not going to play music and have it sound shitty. It's not happening. So we didn't have music for like 3 weeks. And then when the music dropped, it was like the beat dropped. And I kept that while I researched different platforms, decided, okay, I'm going to double down in the middle of this. I'll sign a 2-year contract with Vimeo, which was another investment. So I'm like, either this is really brilliant or you're just totally a lunatic. But at least I know I'm an entrepreneur for sure now. Like 100%. There's no doubt in my mind. I have that in my body or whatever. So signed that. And then originally thought I was going to wait for the launch of it. Like the studio would open, we would launch the new platform. And in the meantime, we'd stay on Zoom. We bought the larger package so we could have up to 1,000 people, because we were getting hundreds of people every single day. It was wild. I felt like I was hosting a live TV show event every single day at 5, because I was the only one teaching and it was 1 class a day.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people had a lot to say about that, I'm sure, but it was the right call. And I feel really, strongly about it. And then in the background, we were then building out the platform. They have to build out apps. We had to make a bunch of decisions on what we were doing. And then it got pushed a little bit due to that. I didn't want to launch in the middle of summer either. That's not a great idea. So October it was.
And so now this is an on-demand platform that you have. So do people have the opportunity to take live classes as well with you?
100%. So it's a pretty robust situation that we have. We have live class schedule daily that has numerous class times every single day. Some days there's 5 classes a day from early morning till late at night. In addition to that, you can take recorded live classes from the previous week. So those stay on the roster, we'll say, for a week before they go by the wayside. In addition to that, we have edited, curated, badass classes that we recorded that we do during recording days. So we like set up shop for 2 to 3 days and like create the best content classes they're beautifully shot. They're just perfect, really. I mean, like the execution is really, really great. And the platform that we have allows for a really good finished product to come out. So we have that. Then we have 5-minute meditations. Then we have breakdowns of everything under the sun. And then we have like a greatest hits section, which has, previous classes that have been live or whatever. But you have so many you don't have like an insane amount of options that you're going to be overwhelmed, but you have enough options that you will always be able to find something new and something that you're interested in taking, and you'll never run out of content. Never.
So you completely created a whole new business model while being shut down, potentially could have lost everything, and you just double down and create an entirely robust solution that you can operate. And you did that all in the matter of a quarter, really 3 months.
Correct. I mean, it seemed like well, of course, right. I'm going to do this. And of course I'm going to do this. And of course I'm going to do this. It was almost like when I opened the studio, it was like, of course it's time for you to open a studio. This is ridiculous. You've been running clubs all over the city. You've been doing that, like you have all the chops to do it. And it's like literally being handed to you. I mean, there's a lot of work to be done with it, but like, it's the time to do this. And so it was never like, I just did. I just immediately was like, this is what we do. I also have, a team of people, and it's a much smaller team now, but that I feel uniquely responsible for. Laying off people was just, that was rough.
Yeah. It's interesting though, that, so often we're constantly planning and trying to do things. And then when we don't even realize is that your entire life prepared you for that moment.
1,000%. It was just like, it was teed up for me.
And what I know about you is so interesting. In the Pivot book, I talk about the Kaplan model, the drama triangle. I mean, very famous model, talks about persecutor, victim, and rescuer. And I have to say, I mean, I've come across, there's tons of people on the planet, and ontology and personal development is something I'm quite passionate about. But I don't know I've ever met anyone on the planet that is able to identify that they're in the middle of a drama triangle and get the F out of it so quickly as someone like yourself. And I don't even know if you know that that's a superpower that you have.
I hadn't really thought of it that way. Huh. Yeah, I just don't I don't know. Let's find a solution. That's all. That's really that's like really where my brain goes. And like, let's have a good time while we're doing it. I felt almost like a little bit, I don't know if bad is the right word, but I felt almost like guilty for not having a harder time than I was with what was happening. Because I witnessed and experienced and heard from and dealt with so much, dealt with so much suffering, valid suffering, like in all shapes and sizes. And it just doesn't, I don't experience these kind of things like that, if that makes sense. And so I had like, I mean, not like I didn't have my moments, for sure. I did.
Right.
Not
But you're
gonna-
able to really shift your perspective in terms of what was happening, so much so in the place where it's not even, I mean, it just occurs so naturally. I mean, I love how you're saying, like, of course we're going to shift, of course we're going to pivot, of course we're going to do what's next.
Yeah, I was like, and of course, and I remember it was like 3 hours until we're going. I was like, we need a banner. And I'm like, Amanda, I need a banner. I need you to put, she's like, I can't. I said, yes, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Go there, explain what's happening, and tell them that we need a banner.
Right.
The banner was up before we went on. You know, it was just like, you can. It's just a matter of how bad you want to do it.
Right.
You
Well, and I
can't.
think that's such a great point for our listeners is, what does it look like when you shift your orientation to I can't?
Mm.
And you shift it to I can. And it was just such a simple, real phrase, but it's something so powerfully. And, Bethany, I've watched you do that all year.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want to say, it's not like we can do it. It's not that like kind of like just put on top. It's like, okay, well, we can't do this. And this might not be our preference, what's happening right now. But what we can do is this. Mm-hmm. So let's do it. And then let's do it at the highest level that we could possibly do it.
Right.
That's just, so instead of focusing in on, I think, it's so easy. And, there's so much humor around it, and there's so many memes about it. And there's all, it was like so much stuff around like, get rid of 2020, get rid of 2020, all that stuff. And I never related to that. I didn't want to get rid of it. I don't want to rush the process. And then also you guys all rushed to 2021. How's that going? So, like if you're in that mindset,
yeah,
2021 is going very well. But, it's like, I just think it kind of is an infectious disease either way. So either you're infectious in sitting in the mire and being like it's too much and problem. And again, this isn't to say that you can't have times where you just hit the floor with your knees. I don't mean that. I certainly cried in my shower, cried in my bed, cried numerous times. Mm-hmm. During this process. And most of the time, that was not my experience of it, because the contagious energy that I want around me and that I want to create is that we're creating solutions and we're bringing something that matters and we're moving forward. So then that's sort of everybody, you either get on that train or it doesn't work here.
Yeah.
But sort of staying in this, like, it has to go back to this way. Even very early on, I was like, everybody, you need to get like super clear that this is not what's happening.
Right. Yeah. And we're not going back. I think that's the important piece here.
I mean, we don't know anything too. Like, it's like, who knows? So why not have a good time with it too? Mm-hmm. I remember at the end of the summer too, because Mary Allison and Zach and I, we just spent so much time together. We worked so much, but I laughed so much. And at the end of the summer, I was like, I just want to say, like, I had the best summer with you two. And I know that might just sound weird. Like we're in lockdown. It's horrific here in the city. There's all sorts of shit was going on here, like so bad in so many ways. And, and necessary in so many ways, mm-hmm. and also just a lot. And I had a great summer. Yeah. And it's cool to be, it's cool to be surrounded by people like that, but that is not an accident.
No, exactly. You created that intentionally.
Yeah. And it's really, actually, there's been an editing process across the board. I think I had mentioned this to you, that like, it was not only professionally, but just also personally. Like I just sort of, anybody was not on the train of like me moving forward, this moving forward, life moving forward, and us being able to see what's good right now. And who I am now. Mm-hmm. Just didn't work. And it just like, it just sort of edited itself out, and not like good or bad, not like wrong or horrible or anything like that, just necessary and very natural. This situation and the pandemic, I think, sped the process of editing up in a way that enlightened me.
I love that.
So, moving forward, that's how I see things now. I'm kind of like, if it doesn't work, if we don't work, if this relationship doesn't work, this partnership doesn't work, us as business, all those things, I would have like caveats for different, like, oh, but this, oh, but this, oh, but this, but like, oh, but nothing. I can actually demand in a healthy way exactly what I need and want. Period.
Yeah. I love that. And so powerful, right? Like, I mean, so many of us in 2020 were taught that lesson. It's just the question is, do we see it?
Mm.
My family and I, we have we've spent a lot of time together in 2020, and that really was my intention back in 2017, was to return home and to be more present with family. But I was forced.
You were uniquely ready for this too, actually. Had this happened back in
oh my gosh.
Oh wow.
Oh my goodness.
I can picture those phone calls.
But no, I mean, it's really taught us. It's brought our family very, very close. And I too, I too have learned so much from 2020, and I no longer am willing to settle with things are fine. In fact, fine is no longer a word in my vocabulary. So I love that editing up and editing out.
Yeah, just streamline the process.
So
good job.
Great. It's so great. Well, I'll say this, Bethany, from the outside looking in at what you've been up to, you've done a great job, you and your team, and it's been really inspiring to watch. And for those listeners, if you haven't heard of Bethany before, please follow her on Instagram, and we'll make sure that we add in the show notes the Instagram handle for Lyons Den for the digital program. And then, but I'll say this, for those of you listening, I think there's a really powerful message here that you've been sharing with us. And it's quite simply that we have a choice. We have a choice on what we want to say. Yeah.
It's the same. It's like this, it continues to be the same message, like in so many different ways and in so many different modalities, I think, and people are just more interested now, I think, in actually excavating a little bit. And then that can be a process. I wrote about this recently. If you do follow me on social media, I'm pretty open on the way that I write, etc. And I've really tried to put anything that I put out there, I actually mean, like in a real way. And I had gotten to like a point where I was in so much inquiry that it was like actually stopping me. Like, oh, but what's mine? Oh, but what can I do? Like so looking in that I was not like, no, at a certain point, it's just like, that's where this editing process came in. And having a choice, not only in how I take the time to self-inquire and do all of that work, and also where to draw the line.
Yeah.
It's, at a certain point, it's like, okay, we can just sort of self-work ourselves to death.
Yeah. Or into paralysis where we don't do a thing.
That's really what it was like. It's just like so much. And I'm like, actually, this is stopping you from, because you can always put it back over here.
Yeah.
And I think there's like a healthy balance of that's available. And I think that even gives more choice.
Yeah.
But you've always got to say, like, you're in a traffic jam, you can be pissed about it, or you can car dance. The
choice is yours.
The choice is yours. Like, it really is, though. And you might not feel it at first, and it still might not be your preference, but I'll always take the car dancing.
Same. Why not? You know, it's funny. I actually used one of your phrases the other night. I was like, oh, we just need to zhuzh this up. Like, this kitchen is out of control. Let's just zhuzh it up, which sounds so different than, you guys, the kitchen's a disaster. We need to clean it up.
Oh,
You know, you have a little choice. Yeah, just zhuzh it up.
Just a little zhuzhing, everyone.
Well, I know that like right now the theme really is self-care and take it easy, and that's a lot of the messaging. And yes, of course, that's all really important for sure. And you know, from one chronic entrepreneur to another, it's just so fun to watch you do your thing. And I so appreciate you taking the time here today to share what you've been up to. And I love that.
I appreciate the invite. Also, I want to say, I was like pissed for you that your word got stolen. I mean, you were writing this book and talking about this forever. And then this pandemic came around. It was like, pivot this, pivot this, pivot this. I was like, oh, they went and just like tried to steal her word, man.
I love it. I know.
Crazy. I'm like, it's kind of perfect, but it's like kind of annoying. That's your word, right? I just was like, no. She's been doing this for a long time.
Well, I know those of you that listen to this podcast, often you've heard my story. You know, I had a designer that wanted to change the word. Change isn't coming. They're like, people don't like change. I'm like, that's the whole point. Like, how can we be great with change? And
it is here. It is happening.
And you modeled it perfectly, you know, like what it looks like to really be in the flow and in the dance of change. And if you haven't checked out Bethany's yoga class, you need to. It's a must do. You know, yoga saves people's lives, period.
Moving your body is just, it's imperative. I don't feel like doing it every day.
Yeah.
And that's just what I do. Cause that's what I do. I brush my teeth. I do yoga. I drink water.
Disciplined. All disciplined actions.
Yeah, these are all choices. They aren't exactly just naturally what I always want to do. And that's never been a decision that I've been like, I just really shouldn't have drank that water, or I just really shouldn't have taken yoga. Yeah. Never a decision I've regretted. Been like, God, that my time was so horribly spent.
I love that example. Yeah, I'm never regretting brushing my teeth in the morning.
No, I'm never regretting. See? And sometimes I don't feel like brushing my teeth. I don't feel like getting up. I don't feel like it, but I'm still going to get up and brush my teeth.
Oh, I love that. Well, whatever, for those of you listening, anything that you're not wanting to do, we promise you're not going to regret it. So just get up and do it.
Boom. And have fun doing it.
Have fun. Bethany, thank you so much for joining me today. Love you. Just love you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for everything you're putting out into the world, woman, for a very long time and impacting my life so very long ago.
It's all good. We're here for one another. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Love you. Bye.